Have you ever wondered about the origins of the elves in Middle-earth? These ethereal beings, known as the Firstborn, hold a history that stretches back to the very dawn of time. In the earliest days, before the sun and moon graced the skies, Middle-earth lay under a canopy of stars. It was during this starlit era that the elves first awoke by the serene waters of Cuivianen, the Water of Awakening, located in the far eastern regions of Middle-earth. They called themselves the Quendi, meaning those who speak with voices, for they were the first creatures to use language. The initial awakening saw three pairs of elves, Imin and Iminia, Tata and Tatia, and Anel and Anelia. As they explored their surroundings, they encountered other elves, expanding their numbers and forming the foundations of their diverse kinships. Under the shimmering stars, they developed poetry and music, laying the cultural bedrock that would define their kind for ages to come. The Valar, the powerful entities tasked with shaping the world, remained unaware of the elves' awakening until the Valar Orome, the great hunter, chanced upon them during one of his journeys. Recognizing their significance as the firstborn children of Ilúvatar, Orome brought news of their existence back to the other Valar. This discovery prompted the Valar to take a more active role in guiding and protecting the elves, especially from the looming threat of Melkor, the dark enemy who sought to corrupt all that was pure. To shield the elves from Melkor's malevolence and to offer them the splendors of the Blessed Realm, the Valar extended an invitation for the elves to join them in Valinor. Orome selected 3 ambassadors from among the elves, Ingwe, Finwë, and Elwë, who journeyed to Valinor and, upon witnessing its glory, returned to persuade their kin to undertake the great journey westward. However, not all elves were convinced. Those who chose to remain in Middle-earth were known as the Avari, the unwilling. The others, inspired by the tales of Valinor's beauty, embarked on the monumental migration, a journey that would lead to the first major division among the elves. The Avari who remained in Middle-earth were scattered across its vast, starlit landscapes. Over time, they faded into obscurity, their histories fragmented and mingled with myths. Yet, they would play an important, though often hidden role in the events of Middle-earth's later ages. Those who accepted the summons divided into 3 kindreds, named after their leaders. The Vanyar, led by Ingwe, who became known for their closeness to the Valar and their love of light and music. The Noldor, led by Finwë, were skilled craftsmen and seekers of knowledge. The Teleri, led by Elwë and Olwë, who were drawn to the sea and the music of the waters. These groups began their long and arduous journey westward, guided by Orome. The journey was fraught with challenges, crossing vast forests, mountains and rivers under the starlit skies of Middle-earth. Each step brought them closer to the light of Valinor, but also further from their ancestral home. As the journey progressed, a significant division occurred among the Teleri. This group, the largest and most numerous, was deeply tied to the lands they crossed. Many of them lingered along the way, enchanted by the rivers and forests. A portion of the Teleri eventually chose to remain behind, forming distinct subgroups such as the Nandor, who stayed in the forests of the Anduin Valley. The rest of the Teleri, led by Elwë and Olwë, continued westward, but this delay created the first notable divergence within the Elven kindreds. Another significant event occurred during this journey. Elwë, the leader of the Teleri, became entranced by the Maya Melian in the forest of Nan Elmoth. He fell into a long, enchanted slumber, during which a part of his people stayed behind to await his return. These elves would later become known as the Sindar, or Grey Elves, and would play a central role in the history of Beleriand, the Vanyar and Noldor. Unimpeded, reached Valinor and basked in the light of the two trees, Lothlórien and Telperion. The Teleri, despite their delays, eventually followed, but some of their kindred remained by the shores of Middle-earth, becoming the Falathrim, or shoreland elves. Their king, Olwe, established the city of Alqualonda, the haven of swans, a glittering port where their white ships rested like jewels upon the water. Meanwhile, in Middle-earth, the elves who stayed behind began to form their own cultures and realms. Chief among them were the Sindar, the Grey Elves, led by Elwë, now known as Thingol, and now his Maya wife, Melian. Together, they established the hidden realm of Doriath in Beleriand. Protected by the magical girdle of Melian, a powerful enchantment that repelled enemies, Doriath became a haven of beauty and wisdom. Thingol's leadership and Melian's divine influence made it a center of culture, art, and song. The Sindar were less influenced by the Valar, but retained a deep connection to the natural world, living in harmony with the forests and rivers. Another group, the Nandor, led by Lenwë, diverged from the Great Journey and settled along the banks of the Anduin River. These elves loved the untamed wilderness and became known for their woodcraft and connection to the natural world. They would later play a significant role in the development of regions such as Lórien and Greenwood the Great, later known as Mirkwood. Even as these realms flourished, the shadow of Melkor loomed over both Middle-earth and Valinor. In Valinor, Melkor feigned repentance, walking among the Valar and Elves, sowing seeds of distrust and envy, particularly among the Noldor. He whispered to them of hidden truths, feeding their curiosity and ambition. In Middle-earth, Melkor's agents stirred unrest among the Avari and other elves who had not seen the light of the two trees. His influence began to corrupt some of these elves, giving rise to dark legends of betrayal and fear. As the elves of Valinor created wonders, and those in Middle-earth built their realms, the actions of Melkor began to intertwine their fates. The first rifts within the elves themselves began to form, as jealousy, pride, and ambition crept into their hearts. This period was one of growth and prosperity, but it was also the calm before the storm. The elves had set the stage for greatness, yet the seeds of their eventual tragedies had already been sown.